Welcome to White Tarot, where the reader is bubbly, but the readings can get dark. So today, I am throwing down another bonus reading, and we will let the pendulum pick which sign it'll be for. Who are we dropping a bonus reading for? Okay, I guess it's Cancer. We are dropping a bonus reading for Cancer. Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Ooh, and also, is there a keyword for us to help identify or hone in a little better on the Cancer Collective that this is for? You, N, I, O, N. Union. So you might be working for a place with a union, or you might be seeking union with a soulmate or something or another or whatever. We'll see, I guess. I got a flash of me yelling at the camera, so I have a feeling this is going to get rough. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and pull an archetype card. The vow. Yep, kind of on track for the union stuff. All right. The promise, the oath, the contract. When the vow is spoken, the air shifts, karmic ties are formed, and destiny tilts on its axis. Our words and intentions have immense power. There is a reason the great mythic stories of our past often include the recitation of oaths and the mixing of drops of blood as a mark of union. The tricky part is that reciting the vow, no matter how casually, activates the eternal and unseen forces of the world. The ancestors bear witness. The laws of nature respond. These promises cannot be unsaid or forgotten, so breaking them can leave lingering complexities and loose ends. This card calls us to acknowledge the vow we are living by, consciously or unconsciously, and either recommit to it or create a ritual that signifies its closure. You've been underestimating the power of your promises. Interesting. Anytime the energy of the vow is present, we are in the archetypal realm of ceremony and ritual. That means time stands still and anything is possible. Think of the last promise you made. Was it to yourself or another? Has it been upheld or broken? When light, bearing witness to the shift toward destiny. When dark, unconscious vows, unkept promises, messy karma. Wow, this is already getting kind of juicy. It's kind of funny because just yesterday I posted a video explaining what karma is. This is giving me a lot of like soul tie vibes. Let's just jump straight into the tarot because I feel like maybe that'll give us a better understanding of what we're working with here. Whoa. All right. Before I even got to shuffle, we got the Ace of Cups and the Nine of Swords. Yup. And the Ten of Cups. Okay. Whoo. Yeah, soul ties can get messy. Hangman. Okay. Okay. All right. No. Holy crap. Right. Judgment. Eight of Pentacles. Five of Swords. I feel like that goes kind of like that. Let's push that out a little bit. Kind of like that is how that feels. Yeah. Weird configuration, but this also kind of feels like this. Then we have the Hanged Man overlooking the whole thing. Anything else? Yep. Son of Cups. Son of Wands. Feels like it kind of chains off of the Ace of Cups. Then overarching energy, we also have the Two of Pentacles, Two of Swords, lots of twos, Four of Cups. That goes there. Three of Wands. Okay. Do we have anything else? Five of Pentacles. Okay. Next, I am going to pull some cards from the Alchemy deck. If this is saying what I think it's saying, this is one way that we can clarify that. Peacock's tail, full vision, the spectrum, inclusivity. The peacock's tail is a sacred image in alchemy. The mesmerizing display of tail feathers opens to mark the alchemist having shifted from single to multi-perspective. This is a great achievement. The alchemist has opened 1,000 sets of eyes instead of one. They've discarded black and white thinking and allowed the full spectrum of colors, nuances, and solutions to come into the fold. Creative solutions to complex social and political polarities can be found in this sacred space. The force field of possibilities has opened, and the alchemist has entered a new paradigm belonging to multiplicity, dimensionality, and inclusion. Utilize this perspective for positive change while it lasts. When falling back into black and white thinking, as any alchemist will do, envision the splendor of the peacock's tail. Each feather contains a shimmering universe of possibility. Aging, transitioning, warning. Indicating transition, the yellowing leads us into the next phase of our alchemical work. Envision the yellowing as pages of a beloved novel or the ochre blanket of leaves in fall. This color seeps out to signify the beginning of the end, a return to zero. Even a deep bruise finds a yellow tint as it reaches its final phases of healing. In contrast, yellow can be the marker of long awaited growth, as seen in the first rays of the sun and the cheer of forsythia in February. Whatever its message, yellowing tells the truth. It leads us forward, like the vibrant canary in the mine, warning of what's to come. Take heed. The transition is here, whether by yoke or bile. How to respond is up to you. It's likely you already know. Finally, glass. Transparency, focus, seeing. Glass transmits a sacred exchange between the alchemist and their work. Through the glass vessel, the alchemist sees their work, and the work sees the alchemist. What was once clouded in confusion becomes focused. What was once veiled becomes obvious. How are you currently seeing the world? What is your perspective? The glass card can be thought of as the gift of true perception. With it, you naturally focus on what is most central in your life. All else falls into the periphery. The next right action becomes clear. Glass is fragile by nature and requires regular cleaning, so find daily practices that align your vision to what is true. It's easy to slip into an old mode of seeing, particularly someone else's. So hold steady to your new alchemical lenses. Their power is mighty. Well, what I think that this is about is indeed a soul tie. But to explain what the cards are saying, I will first have to debunk a lot of what is believed about soul ties. A lot of people see it all the time. I've been reading tarot for about 9 years now. I've done a lot of personal readings. People seem to think that because you have a soul tie with someone, you're almost obligated to be with them. This is not true. The point of a soul tie is not union. Union is just a nice bonus. But the point of a soul tie, soulmates, twin flames, whatever you want to call it, me personally, I'm not too into the whole twin flames thing. I don't believe that we can just be. I feel like it breeds codependency. The idea that we are both one soul, that one soul splits in half and makes two people and you're only whole together. That that doesn't sit well with me. Let's say that you had history together in a past life. And let's say it was romantic by nature. Let's say you were married for multiple lifetimes before. Let's say you had kids together once upon a time. Now, how different, if we look at the soul from like the universe's perspective, where you're just a soul living one long, really long life, and all these lifetimes that we've spent existing are just different chapters in that one soul's lifespan, right? We romanticize past life lovers, we romanticize soulmates. But when you think about it, how different are they from an ex from this life? Hmm? Now, let's say you got a divorce in this life, right? And then let's say your ex husband is like, hey, let's get back together. How romantic is that? Let's say an ex boyfriend from high school pops up out of nowhere, pops back up and he goes, hey, let's get together. Is that romantic? It depends on how the relationship went, right? It depends on whether or not you both have grown as people, right? It depends on where you're at now. Maybe that was a relationship that would have worked out better if you were the way that you are now. Maybe that's a relationship that just freaking never will work. So, past life, soulmates, past connections, it's no different than any other ex. But we romanticize that for some reason. And it's true. Even just someone that you have history with in this lifetime, if you deal with each other again, there are going to be a lot of feelings that resurface. There are going to be a lot of old wounds, traumas, all that stuff is going to get triggered because you're dealing with someone that you've dealt before. There are feelings attached there. Now, with past life soulmates, the only difference is that we don't remember why those feelings are resurfacing. We don't remember where those things are coming from. Does that make sense? So, soulmates, soul ties, that stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are obligated to be with them again. Union is not necessarily the goal here. But for whatever reason, people have it in their heads that because you've dealt with them in a past life, that you're supposed to be together in this one and it's meant to be. It could be great if you manage to get together, if union is possible, because you've learned a lot together, whether you remember it or not. You're familiar with each other, you're comfortable with each other. There's a lot of history there, and that only makes the relationship richer if it's handled correctly, if it's handled from a healed place. right? But if getting together just makes you revert back to how you were when you were together, that doesn't do anyone any good. So, a soul tie, a past life relationship, soulmates, when you approach it from the lens of, but we have to make this work, that's kind of where the anxiety and codependency kicks in. Because you're going to put up with more from them than you would with anyone else for absolutely no reason. Anyway, getting into the cards, we have judgment here with the Eight of Pentacles and the Five of Swords. Judgment is about making a decision. Eight of Pentacles is about working really hard to achieve your goals, self mastery, or a mastery of a craft. Five of Swords is about self destruction. You see how these two branch out. So a soul tie can either be an opportunity to grow or to revert back to self destructive patterns. Even with the Ace of Cups, an offer of love, you can either go the Nine of Swords, where it's anxiety, depression, a lot of negativity, or the Ten of Cups, emotional fulfillment. You know, a soul tie does not guarantee you a happy ending, it's just a fork in the road. And you still have decisions to make. You still have choices to make, and so do they. So does your partner. Now, this Ace of Cups, it can either come from a place of the heart or it can come from a place of passion. Passion, often mistaken for turbulence. Turbulence is often mistaken for passion. You know, because again, soul ties are going to dig up a lot of emotion. I just went through it. I get it. It's going to dig up a lot of emotion. And you're going to feel chemistry like you've never felt before. You're going to feel passion up the wazoo. But you have to stay grounded in your heart. What is best for you? So this is the forking of the roading, if that makes sense. That's what this is showing us. Hangman, different perspective, is probably what I was just rambling on about for about 10 minutes. Is that you're not obligated to this. You're not tied to this. You're not stuck here. So you need to elevate, look at the situation from a bird's eye view, and ask yourself, am I being triggered for the sake of being triggered? For the sake of dragging me, is this dragging me back into this and self-destructiveness, and is this dragging me back into a place that I've already healed from? Is this triggering old wounds that are only bringing me back to a place that I've already escaped from? Or is this triggering me for the sake of growth? Is this helping me grow? Or is this just dragging me back? Has the other person done the work? Have they worked on themselves since the last time we saw each other? Are they different now? Are they better now? Am I better now? These are the questions that you need to be asking yourself, not how do I make this union happen? Because that's not the point. The point is, where are you at? Where are they at? Are you compatible? Or is one of you going to drag the other down? We also have the Two of Pentacles, again, about juggling decisions. Two of Swords, there's something that you're not looking at, and it's probably, again, what I've been rambling on about this entire time. Four of Cups, letting opportunity pass. Five of Pentacles, a loss. Now, if you choose to let go of this, are you going to see it as a missed opportunity, something that you lost? Or are you going to see it as, no, I made the conscious decision to let this go. I am going to intentionally let this go because it doesn't align with where I'm trying to get to. It doesn't align with where I've gotten. It doesn't align with who I am or who I'm trying to be. And then we have the Three of Wands, moving forward into a new venture. But none of these feel like your destiny or your fate or what's going to happen. I can't tell you what's going to happen because that's not how these cards work. They read the energies. But this is where you're forking at. You're trying to determine, is this helping me grow or is this dragging me back down? Do I move forward somewhere else? Is there something I'm not looking at? Do I see this as a loss or do I see this as something I'm passing on? But with the hangman seeing things from a different perspective, you need to keep in mind that you always have autonomy. You always have free will. You get to decide if this happens or not. And the fact of the matter is, so do they. They get to decide this too. But what you need to be looking at is not how do we make this work? How do we make this happen? It's how does this affect us? How is this connection affecting us? Is it hurting us or helping us? And then having the guts to let go if it's hurting you. Knowing that you have a choice in the matter is a big thing because it's something that a lot of my clients that are dealing with soul ties don't seem to get is that they are not obligated to this. They call it a karmic soul tie or a soul contract or something. You're not held to a contract. This is your ex. This is your soul's ex. Now, if you get back together with an ex, like in this life, you have all that history together, you already know each other somewhat, right? They probably remember that you like your eggs over easy. You probably remember that they like to flip the pillow to the cooler side every once in a while when they're sleeping. You probably remember that they snore, right? And you remember how to deal with it. Like you already know each other to a certain extent. And so it's comfortable. It's comfortable. And you don't have to do all that all over again. You don't have to learn each other all over again because you already know each other. It's nice, right? There's a certain level of comfort that you can have with a soulmate if you can make it work. But if you're not willing to do the work and grow from the lessons from the last time, if they're not willing to make it work and grow from the lessons from the last time, then staying there is only going to hurt both of you, right? So what you do is you have to let them off the hook. You have to let them go because holding on is only going to hurt both of you. But if you can make this work, it can be great. But just like any other relationship, it takes work because there's a reason it didn't work out the first time. Okay, if we're talking past life, I mean, one of you could have just died sooner than the other, but still, there were likely mistakes made in the last time that you guys were together. Now, the question is, have you learned from them? Have they learned from them? And are you willing to grow together, or is one of you dragging their feet? Is one of you kind of more like, I am the way that I am, deal with it? You can't work with that. You can't hold hands with a fist. Both of you have to be willing to make this work for it to work. And if they're dragging their feet, leave them because you can. Why am I yelling? Probably also because I've dealt with so many clients that were just like, but they're my soulmate. This has to work out. No, 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 no. Nothing in life. Listen, nothing in life works out just because it should. Let's just get that one thing out of our heads. Destiny and fate, totally a thing, but very limited. Still requires work. Destiny and fate doesn't just hand us stuff on a silver platter. It brings us opportunity, and we have to rise to meet it. Just because they're a soulmate, just because they're a twin flame, just because whatever, just because you share this insane, almost telepathic connection, doesn't mean that it is guaranteed to work without both of y'all doing what you have to do to make it work. So that's the fork in the road that you're at right now. Now, what you do with this information is up to you, but this is your kind of unfriendly reminder to not forget that you have autonomy. You have free will, even in this. And they are, it's hard to let go of a soulmate. I know from experience, I know it's hard to let go, but try to reframe your mind. Think less about, I want to make this work. I want this to work. Stop fixating on that. Return the focus to you. How does this affect me? Is this good for me? Does this help me in any way? Is this connection helping me or hurting me? And be very honest with yourself. Because sometimes self love is about making the tough choices, regardless of how you feel about it, just because it's the right thing to do for yourself. If we give kids whatever they want, they would wind up with cavities and they would be eating boxes of nerds for dinner. So sometimes we have to tell them no, right? Now, when we're dealing with our inner child that wants to feel chosen, that wants to feel wanted, that wants to feel special, that wants to feel loved, sometimes we have to tell them no, because this isn't where love is. That love that you want, that feeling of being chosen, that feeling of being special isn't here. So, no, we're not wasting any more time here. Doesn't matter who they are to me, doesn't matter how well my soul remembers them. The love isn't here, so we're leaving. Sometimes you have to be willing to do that for yourself, even when it feels like you're ripping your own heart out of your chest. Because self love is making the choices that are aligned with your highest good. It's telling yourself no instead of forcing an outcome. Because the other person, yeah, they might be capable of growth, but you can't make them do that. I mean, think about how hard it is for us to push ourselves through growth, for us to say no to ourselves. Think about that. So it is damn near impossible to get somebody else to do the work. And so we make the decisions. But this is a reminder that you have autonomy in this. You have free will. And you have to be really honest with yourself. Is this good for me or not? And if it's not, you have to be willing to walk away. Because if you stand there and you put up with it, you're basically telling your inner child, you're telling yourself, you're telling the universe, I'm a doormat. I'll put up with mistreatment. I'll put up with no effort. I'll put up with this forever just because they're my soulmate and I have to. No, you don't. Have some self respect. Maintain your dignity. Because anyone that is meant for you will not even make that a choice. Anyone that is meant for you, listen, anyone that is meant for you, you will never have to choose between keeping them and your dignity. That will not be a choice that you have to make with the right one. So, with that being said, Cancer, you just might be dealing with a soulmate. And I am here to remind you that if it's toxic, leave. You don't have to put up with that. You are not obligated to that. If it's just a little bit difficult, well, that's for you to figure out, right? Is this difficult because it's toxic, or is this difficult because I'm being pushed towards growth? We both are. And you get to decide what you do about it. But my suggestion, if it is toxic, heck and leave. Because why are you putting up with that? Yeah, even Casper's mean mugging. I just pointed at his butt. Even Casper's mean mugging you right now. Like, why? Why would you put yourself through that? Don't put yourself through that. Don't waste any more time there. So, anyway, if you liked being yelled at by me for about half an hour, like, share, comment to help me out with the algorithm, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that you get notified every time I post a video. And I will see you in the next one.